Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा कृष्ण चंद्र, राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधे। जय कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम, कृष्ण बलराम, जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय निताय गौरांग, निताय गौरांग, निताय गौरांग, जय निताय गौरांग। जय प्रहलाद नरसिंह, प्रहलाद नरसिंह, प्रहलाद नरसिंह, जय सुदर्शना। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री श्री निताय गौरांग की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री प्रहलाद नरसिंह देव की जय। श्री श्री सुदर्शन भगवान की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto 10th chapter verse number 23. Sa va ayam yat padam atra surayo. Sa va ayam yat padam atra surayo. Jitendriya nirjita matarishvanaha. जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितमातरीश्वनः पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। ननु एषा सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुम् अर्हति। नन्वेष सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। सवायं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितमातरिष्वनः पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। नन्वेष सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। सवायं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितमातरिष्वनः पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। नन्वेष सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। सवा अयं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितमातरिष्वनः पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। नन्वेष सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। सवायं यत्पदमत्र सूरयो जितेन्द्रिया निर्जितमातरिष्वनः पश्यन्ति भक्ति उत्कलितामलात्मना। नन्वेष सत्वं परिमार्ष्टुमर्हति। सह हि वै by providence. I am this, yet that which. Padamatra. Here is the same personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Surayaha, great devotees, Jita Indriyaha, who have overcome the influence of the senses. Nirjita, thoroughly controlled. Matarishvanaha, life. Pashyanti, can see. Bhakti, by dint of devotional service. Utkalita, developed. Amala Atmana, those whose minds are thoroughly cleansed. Nanu Eshaha, certainly by this only. Sattvam, existence. Parimarshtam, for purifying the mind completely. Arhati, deserve. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. Please repeat. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. Purport. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord can be known in his real nature by dint of pure devotional service only. So it is stated here that only the great devotees of the Lord who are able to clear the mind of all material dust by rigid devotional service can experience the Lord as he is. Jitendriya means one who has full control over the senses. The senses are active parts of the body and their activities cannot be stopped. The artificial means of the yogic processes to make the senses inactive has proved to be abject failure, even in the case of great yogis like Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni controlled the senses by yogic trance, but when he happened to meet Menaka, a heavenly society woman, he became a victim of sex. And the artificial way of controlling the senses failed. But in the case of a pure devotee, the senses are not at all artificially stopped from doing anything, but they are given different good engagements. When the senses are engaged in more attractive activities, there is no chance of their being attracted by any inferior engagements. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the senses can be controlled only by better engagements. Devotional service necessitates purifying the senses or engaging them in the activities of devotional service. Devotional service is not inaction. Anything done in the service of the Lord becomes at once purified of its material nature. The material conception is due to ignorance only. There is nothing beyond Vasudev. The Vasudev conception gradually develops in the heart of the learned after a prolonged acceleration of the receptive organs. But the process ends in the knowledge of accepting Vasudev as all in all. In the case of devotional service, this very same method is accepted from the very beginning, and by the grace of the Lord, all factual knowledge becomes revealed in the heart of a devotee due to the dictation by the Lord from within. Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest means. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। All the miseries of life are because of not being able to see Krishna, whom the women on the rooftop of Hastinapur are witnessing personally. As it is told in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai Andhakar. Yahan Krishna tahan nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is like sun. As soon as you see sun, there is no darkness. And all the suffering in life is only because of darkness or ignorance. In ignorance, we commit sins, and because of sins, we suffer. So, if we have knowledge, if we see Krishna, then there is no question of darkness. So, that is why human life is only meant to see Krishna, to experience Krishna. But what does it mean, seeing Krishna? Seeing means seeing as he is. That is why it is written here. The Lord can be known in his real nature by dint of pure devotional service only. So it is stated here that only the great devotees of the Lord who are able to clear the mind of all material dust by rigid devotional service can experience the Lord as he is. Actually, everyone is experiencing the Lord. There is nothing but Lord only. Lord is the only reality. Nothing accepts, nothing exists except Krishna. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Vasudevam Sarvamiti Samahatma Sadurlabha. There is nothing in this world but Krishna. Anything that we see or we do not see, whatever exists, everything is Krishna. Krishna means Krishna the person and the transformation of his energies. But when a child is born, the child realizes the absolute truth in the form of food, and that is called Annamaya Kosh. The child is also experiencing absolute truth only, but not as it is. Child does not know anything in this world but food. It is hungry, it will cry for food. That is the lowest stage of consciousness. It is conscious, but it does not have any realization of absolute truth except food. Child does not know who is father, who is mother, who is friend, who is relative, who is enemy. Some enemy is coming with a knife, it will laugh. Does not have sense. Who is going to save me? Who is going to kill? No idea at all. But it cries for milk or food. So, this is the most fundamental realization of absolute truth. He also realizes. Then the consciousness improves. Then it realizes, oh no, I am having life. It defends itself. And that is how many people have read all these things and they have made in management. What do we study? Pyramid? What is that called? Yes? Anybody has studied? Mostly Maslow. Maslow's pyramid. So the first of all, the first need of living entity is food. Then after food, defense. There is no food, where is the question of defense? After defense, other things. And last they tell actualization, not realization. Westerners have no concept of realization. So they read Vedas, they concoct something of their own. So then they tell actualization, realizing what do I actually, something they tell, follow your passion and something, follow this thing. But this is the progression of consciousness. First of all, realize absolute truth in food, and then you realize in life, one understands, one is willing to defend himself. Then one identifies oneself with mind, then gradually increases in knowledge. What is knowledge? I am not the body. And then ultimately, one realizes the absolute truth as Krishna. And then one's life becomes blissful. So one has to realize Krishna as it is. Everyone is realizing Krishna only. The food is also Krishna, mind is also Krishna, life is also Krishna, everything is Krishna. But it is told here, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyante. After intelligent person, after many births, one realizes there is nothing but Vasudev. And in devotional service, this knowledge is there from the very beginning. There is nothing but Vasudev. So experiencing as he is very important. So when one experiences as he is, then one's life becomes perfect. So there are two ways of experiencing. One is following the Jnani way. You, life after life, you spend many lifetimes experimenting. This is true, this is not true, using our intelligence. Another thing is that we simply hear from the perfect source. That is the easiest way. Like somebody wrote some time back in comment. So we were sharing Prabhupada's instructions, how Prabhupada tells 0 to 5 years, you give complete freedom to children. Let them do whatever they want. 5 to 15 years, you should be very strict. The children should be afraid. You should stick to them. Very strict. Then they'll have many good qualities. And then after 15 years, after 16 years, become friend. Otherwise, there will be response. They will react and not good. So become very friendly after that. So then somebody told that you are brahmachari. What experience do you have of kids? So don't talk about all these things. So yes, so this is the understanding. And what he's telling is fact. Any person will, and this is a question which many devotees they face in many forums. Person sitting in auditorium, they will tell that Prabhu, you're talking of family, but do you have family? Then how you're talking of family? So this nice question, and a normal person should it should strike him that this person does not have anything. He's simply telling something. But no, this is called parampara. What is parampara? Shukdev Goswami has no experience of anything, but is talking about everything. He is telling Yan Mathunadi Grahmedi Sukhamitocham Khandu, a small child Prahlāda Mahārāja. No experience. But he heard in the womb of his mother, and he is able to tell the life of a materialist. What happens? Neha Tripyanti Kripana Bau Dukkha Bhaja. He has not even entered family life. He is telling Hitvadma Patam Griha Mandukupam. My dear father, this family life is dark well. Come out of it. Go to jungle. So he has no experience of family life. 5-year kid hardly is taken couple of classes in school, but he's talking about family life and everything. How he's talking. And what to speak of family life? He's telling what was there in the previous life. Kapil Muni, he's brahmachari. He's telling transmigration of species. Many lifetimes that species goes like this. So normally, yes, in this world, people speak through their experience. Experience has got a lot of value. But if we hear from experienced man, that is the best use of our intelligence. Most experienced man is Krishna, and we hear from him in parampara, and in this way, we perfect our knowledge. And on the other hand, if a person is not wise enough, even though one is experiencing, still after experiencing also, one will not understand. Janiya shuniya vishikhainu. Person who is wise without entering family, he will understand the pros and cons of family life. And otherwise, they will spend family life after life, still they will not realize. So that is why the knowledge, the realization is not the result of one's mere experience. Experiencing is also a way, if one is intelligent. If one is dull, one will never understand. That is why it takes millions and millions and millions of lifetimes for a living entity to realize. He goes through various species of life. And then finally, yes, the living entity is able to make its way out of the material universe. And those who are wise. So Krishna's arrangement is so nice. This is called Reformation Center. So through experience, so somebody asks Prabhupada, if Krishna knows that I will suffer, why does he sanction? He knows I will suffer. Any father will tell child, do not do. He will not allow. So why does he allow if he knows I will suffer? Prabhupada told he sanctions because why? Yes, we desire, that is okay. But Krishna knows that he is going to suffer, then he should not sanction. He sanctions so that we fulfill all our desires, whatever we have. And then we get thoroughly convinced there is no happiness anywhere without surrendering to Krishna. That is why Krishna sanctions. Okay, you go and see. You want to go to this planet? Go. You want to do this business? Do. You want to do this job? You do. Under the water, in the ocean, in the tunnel, in the mountain, in the sun, moon, everywhere, wherever you want, you go. And then you will realize there is no happiness without Krishna. So we are accumulating these realizations life after life. Oh, here also unhappiness. Next life also unhappiness. So in this way, living entity, after going through all the species many, many times over, he realizes, oh, there is no happiness at all. Thus Krishna sanctions, okay, go. Here also you see, there also you see. Everywhere you will realize there is no happiness. So this is very painful way. But then ultimately living entity will realize. Finally, Krishna's system is perfect. Krishna has made this reformation center, and people will be reformed here, but it will take very long time. So again, devotee asked Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, if it is sure that we are going back to Godhead, then why we need to follow so many rules regulations? We are telling go in this back to Godhead. What is the need of following Krishna consciousness? If anyway we are going back, everyone is going to get reformed. So Prabhupada told, yes, you are supposed to walk, you are supposed to travel thousands of miles, and then somebody is giving you lift. So it is intelligence, let me take lift. Otherwise, you can walk 1,000 miles. So ultimately, you will reach your destination. Yes, by walking also you can walk 1,000 miles. But if somebody is giving you lift, then why don't you take it? Immediately you reach your destination. So ultimately, yes, after many, many millions of lifetimes, living entities are going to get reformed. But if we take Krishna consciousness, we save ourselves from unlimited deaths, unlimited pains, unlimited suffering. So this is intelligence. And for this, what is required? To see Krishna, perceive Krishna as he is. One who knows Krishna as he is, that is called Tatvataha. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti Tatvata. Tatvata means as he is. Otherwise, everyone is experiencing Krishna only. There is nothing in this world but Krishna. The water that we drink is Krishna. The food that we eat is Krishna. Our family members are also Krishna. Means part and parcel of Krishna. The leaf is also a tree. The branch is also a tree. The twig is also a tree. Leaf is tree, branch is tree. Everything is nothing but tree. Similarly, everything is Krishna. But we don't realize as he is. Why we are not able to realize? Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. Because of curtain of yoga maya. The illusory energy of Krishna, we are not able to understand that everything is Krishna. Otherwise, everything is Krishna. Perception of matter is only illusion. Conditioned living entities, they discriminate. This is matter and this is spirit. For a pure devotee, everything is spirit. Everything is Krishna. So for a pure devotee, there is no difference at all. Material world or spiritual world. Material world also behaves spiritually for a pure devotee of Krishna. So thus, living entity is not supposed to do anything but become a pure devotee. As soon as living entity becomes pure devotee, the nature of the world changes. everything becomes spiritual existence. And for this, what is required? As it is explained here, Pashyanti Bhakti Utkalita Malatmana, who are able to see Krishna as his bhakti, who are engaged in devotional service. What kind of devotional service? So that is also explained here. So few words are very, very important. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses. So, thus it is explained here, these words are very important. By dint of rigid devotional service. We are also doing devotional service. Everybody is doing devotional service. One who sees the form of Krishna is executing devotional service. One who chants once the name of Krishna is executing devotional service. But what is required to perceive Krishna as he is rigid devotional service. And along with that, full control, not just control, full control. That is why the word used here is nirjita matarishvanaha. Jita means to control, nirjita means thorough control, Prabhupada writes. Nirjita means thoroughly controlled. So one who has thoroughly controlled the senses. So this is very, very important. We are executing devotional service, but there is no self-control. What to speak of thorough control? Then again, there is not much of advancement. Sense control is the only thing for which yoga practice is done by the yogis. Yoga Indriya Sanyam. Yeah, so Prabhupada tells you should see from the result. You are practicing yoga system, but your senses are not coming under control. Then what is the use? So all the senses should be rigidly controlled, thoroughly controlled. That is the purpose of yoga. Sorry. So all the senses should be perfectly controlled. Otherwise, what will happen? Prabhupada explains. Marriage party. What is marriage party? Himanshu, you know marriage party? So, what is the system in marriage? That the man goes to woman, to bride, to marry. So the groom's party was ready and they were going to another village to get married. That is the system. Now, this village was far and they were supposed to cross a river to reach the other side. You have heard the story? No, this is very nice story. Prabhupada tells many times. So they were supposed to cross the river. So they were productivity experts, wanted to utilize every time. They told daytime if we travel, we will lose a day of work. Let us travel at night. So at night they told, okay, we'll sit on boat and we will take rest. And morning we'll be there on the other side. We'll reach our destination, bride's place. So they told boatman, take us to that place, and they all slept. Now the boatman, okay, he was glad. He started rowing the boat, and they all slept off. Morning they wake up, and the boatman is also asleep. And then they see they are at the same place. So he told, my boatman, what is this? He told, no, I slept off just in the morning and I rowed the boat entire night. I'm surprised why we did not move. And then he noticed that he forgot to lift the anchor out. So the anchor was dying down and he was rowing the boat very meticulously, very laboriously. And what happened morning? Yes, the boat was moving, but moving around circle around the anchor. So similarly, if sense control is not there, then what will happen? We'll keep moving around sense gratification, life after life, sense gratification. So we'll be doing bhakti, but our boat is around sense satisfaction. The boat is not moving. So this anchor is called material attachment. So if we are materially attached, then how much ever bhakti we are doing, it will not be fruitful. Yes, bhakti, if it is done nicely, really, if you do bhakti, it will result in detachment. That is why who came the other day? One devotee came and he was telling me that, Prabhu, I came in touch of late, around 6 months ago. And then I started following Krishna consciousness very nicely. I started chanting 4 rounds, then 10 rounds, then I went on trip, 16 rounds, and he was advancing very nicely. And then suddenly I stopped all communication with the devotees. Why? Why he stopped all communication? Because he started developing detachment and he thought it is very dangerous. He thought I came to IIT to get a good job. And then now I realize I have no desire for a good job. So what will I do in life? So this is very dangerous. So initially I stopped reading the books. I thought it is happening because of books. But then it was not sufficient. Still detachment was there. Then I stopped chanting also. Then I stopped talking to devotees also. So this happens with many, many devotees. They, especially when they come for Dham Yatra, they do this thing, very powerful dose of Krishna consciousness. And it is a science, Prabhupada tells. So it is not that we are having a lot of faith and we are concocting in our mind. No, it is science. Science means you'll get the result. You take calcium, your bones will become strong. You don't take it, they'll become weak. It is a science. Similarly, if you take dose of bhakti, your detachment will become very strong. So without faith also devotees execute and they start feeling detachment. So they become scared. Oh, what is this happening? And thus they give up bhakti. Oh, this is not good. Very dangerous thing. So why this happens? Because unfortunately we have a lot of material attachment. We are so much attached to sweet poison. Think, oh, I'm getting detached from poison. What will happen to me if I don't drink this poison? How will I live without drinking poison? So this bhakti science. There will be, if we actually execute under guidance of pure devotee, we hear Bhagavatam, we chant and hear very nicely, automatically it will result in detachment. If we follow rules and regulations. But we have to, yes, we have to practice detachment. That is important with bhakti. Little endeavor, if we do, automatically it will come. Simply, if we chant and hear very nicely, do service very nicely, follow this thing, detachment will result. But if it is not resulting, we are doing bhakti and at the same time we are material attachment also, then bhakti will stop. We'll stop chanting, we'll stop this thing, or even if we are doing, there won't be much progress. So this material detachment is very, very important. That is why it is told, cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of the life and senses. So one who is a materialist, he cannot be in control of his senses. Control means what? Taking the senses away from sense enjoyment. That is called control. Control does not mean, yes, Prabhu, morning 8 to 9 I take my breakfast, 9 to 12 I work, 12 to 2 I do meetings, 2 to 4 I respond to emails, 4 to 6 I do this thing, 6 o'clock I am back to home, I am very controlled. This is not control. You are drinking poison in control way. 10 o'clock I drink this poison, 12 o'clock this poison, 6 o'clock this poison. No, control means don't drink poison at all. Control means not using senses in service of illusion, but using senses in service of Krishna. That is called real control. So that is why there is no question of sense control for the materialist. So senses control means senses should not be engaged in service of illusion. Why we are calling it illusion? Because we don't get the real result which we seek, and that is satisfaction of the heart. We don't get that. That is why we call it illusion, service of illusion. You do all these things very nicely. Life after life, you remain a very disciplined man, control of senses and everything. You will never be happy by such things. There would be dissatisfaction in life. But anyway, full control is required. So for a devotee, it is very important that we execute rigid devotional service. This is very, very important. So what is the meaning of devotional service? Devotional service is of two kinds that we execute. One is Pancharatri ki vidhi, another is Bhagavat vidhi. Pancharatri ki vidhi is deity worship. In that also we can engage our senses. You worship Krishna, your hands are engaged, your eyes are engaged. You make garlands for Krishna, you clean the floor of Krishna, you construct a temple for Krishna, you cook for Krishna, make dresses for Krishna, you bathe Krishna. Uh, in this way, your senses are engaged in Krishna service. You are going out for shopping now, for purchasing a dress for yourself. You go out to purchase dress for Krishna. The same shopping which is making us materially contaminated, same shopping will liberate us. You think, what can I purchase for Krishna? You are going outside to think what I can eat now. You go outside to think what can I feed Krishna. So same thing will liberate us, same activity. So in this way, this Pancharatri ki vidhi is extremely, especially for the householders, it is very, very important. Either they should go to a temple to execute Pancharatri ki vidhi, deity worship, or if they are away from the temple, at their own place, they should have deities and worship them very nicely. This is very, very important for quick purification. Deity worship is extremely important. Brahmachari sannyasis are anyway engaged in service. They may not do deity worship, they may travel and preach, but householders must engage in deity worship, either in the temple or make a temple of your own place. So when we execute this Pancharatri ki vidhi, morning to evening our senses can be engaged. It is very simple. But what will I do? Only once dressing I will do in the morning. Daytime I am free. So Prabhupada tells twice you do dressing, thrice you do, 4 times you do. Increase, cook more for Krishna. So there is unlimited engagement in service of Krishna. It is very simple. And simply by this we will realize, oh, this is not metal, he is Krishna personally. Simply by such devotional service. However, for this Pancharatri ki vidhi also we need to be advanced. It is not easy for everyone. It was specially meant for Dwapar Yuga when people are still having some purity. Now in Kali Yuga there is lot of contamination. So that is why more important is Bhagavat Vidhi. Both should be done together, Pancharatri ki and Bhagavat. But more important is Bhagavat Vidhi, that is chanting and hearing. Unless we follow very nice chanting and hearing, it will not be possible for us to follow the Pancharatri ki Vidhi nicely. There will be no enthusiasm. So yes, we all understand our way of controlling the senses is engaging senses in the service of Krishna. But most of us are engaged in service of Krishna. But why senses are still not under control? Because there is no service with enthusiasm. Only when we are very enthusiastic to serve Krishna, then we can think of. So one of my relatives, they were telling. So they had puja at their place. Those people are very much attached. They were shifting to a new house. So housewarming ceremony people do, Satyanarayan Katha. So I told, not required all these things. Do Kirtan, Bhajan and give some money to me. That is sufficient. So this is all the rituals in Kali Yuga. What are the rituals? Simply chant and hear, do Kirtan of Krishna, hear about Krishna and feed the devotees. That is hundreds and thousands of times more powerful than doing any yajna in this age. It is told in Bhagavatam 3rd canto, Krishna tells, when the food items overflowing with ghee are fed to the mouth of Brahmanas, I take much more pleasure than when it is offered in the Yajna Kund. Much more pleasure Krishna derives when the food is offered to the mouth of Brahmanas, devotees, than offered in the Yajna Kund. So that is why it is told in the purport. Prabhupada explains, when we feed the devotees, it is hundreds and thousands of times more powerful than performing yajna. Just imagine. Yajna itself is so difficult and very hard to perform. As soon as Prithu Maharaj did 99 yajnas, Indra got disturbed because he has done 100 yajnas. So he started disturbing the affairs. Otherwise, he also becomes eligible to become Indra. And here it is told, hundreds and thousands of yajna performances are done by feeding the Vaishnavas. So that is why feeding devotees is extraordinary activity. So we do not know what we are doing. We are simply living here in residency. We are offering food to the devotees. How much advancement we are making simply by this. It's a very, very powerful process. So in Kali Yuga, there is all of the rituals are failed. And so then they were telling. So anyway, the Pandit ji came and did Satyanarayan Katha and everything and went away. And then he told you, please drop all these paraphernalia to my place. And they were little late in dropping, so he became angry. Because of you, my other appointments got cancelled. And why these things are left behind? Why you're not dropping it back? And then he kept a Shaligram Shila also. So in all the ritual, Shaligram Shila is must. So my relative, so she was aspiring for Shaligram Shila. And she was thinking. And fortunately, Shaligram ji appeared, came. And she thought, oh, I want to worship now. I don't want to give it back. But then how we can keep, it is their Lord, Panditji's Lord. And how, so there was confusion. So I wanted, now Shaligram is here. Should I give or should I not give? So then she thought, okay, if he asks, I will give. Otherwise, I will not give. So Panditji asked about everything. Give my plate back, my vessel back, my pot back, my this thing back, cloth back. But he did not mention about Shaligram Shila. And did many, many calls, dozen of calls. He asked about everything, but did not ask Shaligram Shila. So this is the level of so-called Brahmanas. Give me my everything back, my vessels back, and don't bother about Shaligram. So what is the use? What is the use of rituals that they are doing? So that is when Kali Yuga, nothing else. We are simply attached to doing all these things. These things are fruitless. So what we are supposed to do is chanting, hearing, distribution of prasadam, and giving charity to Vaishnavas. Then everything is successful. Every event is successful simply by doing this thing. This is the process for Kali Yuga. So now it has become, because they are not doing Bhagavat Vidhi, it has become a Galagraha. It has become burden, taking care of Shaligram, even though he is carrying Shaligram with him, but not at all bothered. So because enthusiasm, no enthusiasm to serve God. He has enthusiasm for money. He is asking for money for other things, but no enthusiasm to serve the Lord. He is carrying Shaligram, Lord Vishnu with him, but he is not at all Krishna conscious, not at all conscious of Shaligram. So thus, if Bhagavat Vidhi is not there, why this has happened? Because he has simply done rituals his entire life. He did not chant and hear about Krishna from the right source. So that is why Pancharatrika Vidhi was meant for advanced people. Now in Kali Yuga, we are not so advanced. We cannot do deity worship with that enthusiasm. We'll be worshipping Krishna, but our mind will be, even though we are standing in front of Krishna, we are offering Aarti, mind will be somewhere else. So that is why Bhagavat Vidhi is most important. So we have to chant and hear very nicely. Thus Prabhupada explains. So this is very important. We discuss many times, and it is good that we are always conscious. These are very important instructions. So Prabhupada explains, we have to work, that is preaching. You don't think this preaching is so easy going. Eating, sleeping, and sometimes chanting Hari Bol, that's all. That is not preaching. We must be ready to implant Krishna conscious ideas throughout the whole world. Now this chanting and hearing also, in what mood it should be done. Prabhupada is simply chanting Hari Bol sometimes and hearing. So that is not all. Chanting and hearing means preaching Krishna consciousness. We hear very nicely so that we can repeat and we can preach. And what is the meaning of preaching? Simply going and giving lectures. Sometimes we think that is also preaching. I went to this place, delivered lecture, went to another place, I spoke, and I am having so many followers on social media, so I am a good preacher. No, that is not preaching. Preaching means we must be ready to implant Krishna consciousness ideas throughout the whole world. We should be ready to implant Krishna consciousness ideas throughout the whole world. That is called preaching. That how throughout the whole world people can become Krishna conscious. Umapati, that probably won't happen overnight though, Prabhupada. The deity worship program is meant for us to keep us safe. If we neglect deity worship, we shall also fall. But that is not all the duty finished. Archayam ev haraye yaf pujam shraddhaya ehate. Archa means deity. If anyone is worshipping the deity very nicely, but natat bhakteshu chanyeshu, he does not know anything more. Who is devotee, who is non-devotee? What is the duty to the world? Sabhakta prakrita smrita. He is material devotee, he is material devotee. So we have to take the responsibility to understand who is actually a pure devotee. Many times people ask, Prabhu, how do I understand what is right source? Who is right guru? So Prabhupada says, you have to take responsibility. You have to grow. Child may not know what is right for him, but child has to grow, educate himself. How do I find a life partner? You have to find. You have to put efforts. Correct? So similarly, we find who is good doctor, who is good lawyer. So we should be wise enough to find who is good guru, and that is called Madhyamadikari. By rigidly executing deity worship, one rises to the platform of knowledge. Krishna gives knowledge from the heart. Who is a pure devotee? Who is non-devotee? Who is God? Who is impostor? Then you become Madhyamadikari, advanced devotee. Just like these people, either in India or here, they remain simply churchianity, going to the church without any understanding, therefore it is failing. It is now churches are being closed. Similarly, if you do not keep yourself fit to preach, then your temples will all be closed in due course of time. Without preaching, you will not feel enthused to continue the temple worship. And without temple worship, you cannot keep yourself pure and clean. The two things must go on parallel, then there is success. So what is the objective of temple worship? The objective of temple worship is becoming Krishna conscious, reaching to the stage of constant meditation on the lotus feet of Krishna 24 hours. That is the purpose of temple worship. So we should see whether I am getting the result of worshipping the deities, worshipping Krishna. The result is, Prabhupada tells, whenever, even though you are not in front of deities, you are going anywhere, you should be able to see the lotus feet of Krishna in the heart. So then I should understand I am getting the result of worshipping the deities. This is the purpose. And then when one is able to see the lotus feet of Krishna in the heart, then one can preach. So of course both things go hand in hand, but yes, this is how it is. But if we are doing deity worship without enthusiasm, we will never be able to think of lotus feet of Krishna. And how enthusiasm will come in deity worship? When we? What Prabhupada is mentioning here? When we preach. If you do not keep yourself fit to preach, then your temples will all be closed in due course of time. Without preaching, you will not feel enthused to continue temple worship. And without temple worship, you cannot keep yourself pure and clean. The two things must go on parallel, then there is success. In modern time, either Hindus, Muslim or Christian, because in these places there is no teaching of philosophy, therefore they are closing. Either mosque or temple or church, they will close. Prajapati, they can show no good result for their activities. Prabhupada, yes, that is preaching. Therefore, we are writing so many books. Unless we take care of the books and preach and read ourselves, understand the philosophy, this Hare Krishna will be finished within few years. Because there will be no life. How long one can artificially go on Hare Krishna, Hari Bol? That will be artificial, no life. So Prabhupada tells, unless we take care of the books and preach and read ourselves, understand the philosophy, this Hare Krishna will be finished within few years, because artificially Hare Krishna Hari Bol cannot go on. If there is no taste, how much we'll chant? Chanting also will stop. So that is why there is the sum and substance. That will be artificial, no life. Yashomati Nandan, that's right Prabhupada, we are so foolish. We never realize anything you tell us like that. Without the preaching, Prabhupada, without preaching, without understanding philosophy, you cannot keep your strength. Everyone should be thoroughly well conversed with the philosophy which we are putting. That means you must read thoroughly every day. So many books we have got, and Bhagavat is so perfect that any verse you read, you get a new enlightenment. It is so nice. Either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavat, but it is not ordinary writing. Umapati, I have tried to put your Bhagavad Gita into some schools and they say, well, some of them, if they have a Bhagavad Gita, they say, well, we have Bhagavad Gita. And they say this is entirely different understanding of Bhagavad Gita. And they say, well, it is just somebody else's opinion, and we don't have that much interest in a variety of opinions on the same book. Prabhupada, it is not the opinion. We are placing as it is without opinion. Umapati, well, those are those terms. It is very difficult to overcome. Prabhupada, so preaching is always difficult. That I have repeatedly saying, you cannot take preaching very easy going. Preaching must be fight. Do you mean to say fighting is easy thing? Fighting is not easy thing. Whenever there is fight, there is danger, there is responsibility. So preaching means, what is a preaching? Because people are ignorant, we have to enlighten them. That is preaching. So thus it is very, very important to execute devotional service along with full control of the senses. Then we can see Krishna as he is. Full control of senses, when it is possible? When we engage senses in service of Krishna, then automatically the senses are controlled. Just like the good students, you do not have to tell them, don't watch much television, do not spend time sporting, do not waste time in sleeping. Automatically, if the student is enthusiastic about study, he will automatically be disinterested in wasting time. But one has to have enthusiasm. One must have enthusiasm. Similarly, with enthusiasm, we have to engage in service of Krishna. Then the senses will be controlled. Easygoing devotional service will not result in control of the senses. And control of senses is very, very important. That is a way of purifying the senses, of realizing Krishna. So, rigid devotional service with full control of the senses. Full control is possible with service of Krishna. Service of Krishna with enthusiasm will come when we preach Krishna consciousness. And what kind of preaching? Yes? What kind of preaching? Implanting Krishna conscious ideas across the world. It is not easy. Increasing the number of devotees, number of advanced devotees, it is not easy. So when a person engages like that, then, and that is not easy, Prabhupada tells, people will give various reasons, arguments, lack of interest, that is not easy. But this is our process of controlling the senses. Prabhupada explains, without controlling the senses, there is no question of spiritual advancement, as we have read. Either in Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, any yoga, there is no question of spiritual advancement without full control of the senses. Not possible. We also have to control the senses. We cannot do sense enjoyment and hope to make spiritual advancement. But what is our way of controlling the senses? Preaching Krishna consciousness, engaging in service, and engaging in service means specifically preaching Krishna consciousness. Then we can have other engagements of Pancharatriki Vidhi, taking care of the deities and other things, which are very good engagements. But they will sustain on the platform of preaching, only when we are preaching. So thus we should always be anxious. And sometimes when devotees were doing preaching activities, but they were not able to create devotees, Prabhupada would ask. So preaching does not mean simply traveling and giving some lecture. No, preaching means we should increase the number of devotees. So thus we should see that how many number of devotees am I able to increase? That is called preaching. In this way, when I'm always absorbed, always thinking, then our senses become controlled automatically. And then we advance very fast in our spiritual life. So it will not be easy. So we have to always remember, Prabhupada explains in second canto, 9th chapter, verse number 24, purport. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. So doing penances, penance means discomforts, voluntary discomforts, that is called penance. In executing penance, one must be determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. One should decide, I will undergo all kinds of tribulations. Without tribulation, without taking pain, no gain. That is fact. Either in material or in spiritual life. One must take pain. Even for material prosperity, name and fame, one has to undergo severe types of penance. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in this material world. Material world also you have to become important. You have to take pains. You cannot become important here. Why then are there severe types of penance for the perfection of devotional service? An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. So this is very, very important. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. Lord is more clever and he wants to see something. What does he want to see? How painstaking the devotee is. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. So, Lord wants to see how much pain we are taking. Taking pain is very much required. It, Now, how should we take the pain? The order is received from the Lord either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master. And to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So, thus, following the instruction of spiritual master is the most difficult penance, the most recommended penance. But this is very, very important. It is not easy controlling the senses. Part is it will be painful, but we have to control. We have to follow very rigidly all the regulative principles. That is why Prabhupada has used these words rigid. And in Shloka also it is told Nirjita Matarishvanaha. Nirjita means full control of the senses. Jit Indriya, one has to fully control. Rigid devotional service. But we have got an easy means, Prabhupada tells. And this not just easy, Prabhupada also writes, this is the only means. Therefore, controlling the senses by devotional service is the only and easiest means. There is no other way. In Kali Yuga, the easiest means is the only means. Earlier, there were other means also, although they were difficult, but they were possible. But in Kali Yuga, there is no other way. The easiest means is the only means also. Devotional service is the only and easiest means. So we have to understand if we are struggling in controlling the senses, if anartha nivritti is very difficult, that means bhajan kriya is not proper. If bhajan kriya is proper, then anartha nivritti is bound to happen. It is a science. That will be the result. So we have to do bhajan kriya, devotional service very nicely. And what is that bhajan kriya? That is taking care of the books Prabhupada is, understanding the philosophy and preaching it to others. So we all have done whatever austerity, even now we are doing austerity. We are taking 3-4 hours every day in the service of Krishna. It is not easy how we are taking out because we heard. But in course of our activity, sometimes we lose our intensity of hearing. Sometimes people ask, Prabhu, when we hear lecture, we become pumped up. And again, we lose enthusiasm. So we have to realize, yes, when we hear, we become enthusiastic. Why don't we hear always more and more? We will always remain enthusiastic. So that is why Prabhupada tells, discuss throughout the day, at least morning and evening, minimum twice a day. Otherwise, throughout the day, keep on discussing. So if by hearing, I understand, as soon as I hear, immediately, I become enthused. So why don't I keep on following this process? Keep on hearing always. That is why Prabhupada says, read the books thoroughly, very nicely. So morning and evening, this is the foundation, fundamental. Our devotional service will sustain on the basis of this. Every morning and evening, thoroughly discussing very nicely. We should be well conversed with the philosophy. Otherwise, anyway, we have heard other philosophy, life after life. That sense enjoyment is happiness. Man, woman, kissing, embracing each other, that is fun, that is enjoyment. Lot of money, lot of comforts, that is fun. This is what we have seen throughout the life with full absorption in the television, in the media, in the multiplex, everywhere. This propaganda is happening, this preaching is happening, this is happiness. And this preaching we have taken life after life. So now we have to keep our intelligence purified. So that is why morning and evening we should absorb our senses in this philosophy. So when intelligence, when mind is occupied with this philosophy, then automatically we'll be able to take austerities, control the senses, and make advancement. So thus what did we learn? What is the translation of the verse? What the women are telling? So that is why very important verse is there. 10th chapter, verse number 10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti. This is our only hope. We cannot afford to remember even what we have heard in the beginning of the lecture. So with this intelligence, there is not much hope for us. But the hope is buddhi yoga. If we are engaged in service of Krishna, then what will happen? Satata yuktanam, constantly remain engaged. Just remain engaged in service of Krishna. Then what will happen? Dadami buddhi yogam. Krishna will give the right intelligence by which we can approach him. Otherwise, we forget. So anyway, we are engaged. We should keep on remaining engaged always. Then Krishna will give live guidance. No problem. You become forgetful. Just like we may not forget the path. Google Maps is there, live guidance. Take left, 100 meters, take right. So one couple was going, or one family was going where? UP or Bihar someplace. I don't remember. So Google Map took them very nicely in a bridge which was half finished. And then they landed in the ditch. But Krishna gives right guidance. He will not lead us to such half bridges. So we have to engage very nicely, and then does not matter. We don't remember from where we have started, where we have to go. Live guidance Krishna will give. What to do first, what to do next. We have to just engage in service very nicely. But we should try to remember also as far as possible. So the verse was, the ladies are discussing. Here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev, who is realized by the souls who are completely cleansed in their hearts by execution of rigid devotional service and full control of the senses. Amalatmanaha, whose minds are completely pure, they have realized Krishna as he is. So only by this devotional service, Krishna can be realized, they are telling. So thus, it is very important. We preach very nicely. Then we'll be able to execute devotional service with enthusiasm. And that is possible when we hear very nicely morning and evening. So we should not compromise at all. Throughout the day, discuss Krishna consciousness, especially morning and evening, remain completely absorbed in chanting, hearing, discussing the philosophy. On this foundation, everything is this called Bhagavat Vidhi, chanting and hearing very nicely. Then we'll always remain enthusiastic. We'll finish unless we have any questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, you mentioned that like if we just follow devotional service without any controlled senses, we will be like taking birth after birth.
Yes.
So, Prabhu, like at the end of life, if someone realizes that this material world, even though we are in material world, sometimes we have this realization that this is not the right place for us. We have to go back to God. So at the end of life, if someone has very strong desire not to take birth again, will uh, will that person be liberated, or like he will be?
Yes, if the end of life, a person has strong desire, I do not want to come back, he will not come back. But this desire does not come, does not arise in the heart. Thus Prabhupada tells, my friend was dying, one of the contacts of Prabhupada. And then he's telling doctor, can you please extend my life for 4 years? I have some more plan, business plan. Can you extend some 4 more years? Can you give me? I need to finish this plan, he's telling. So this desire does not come in the heart.
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says devotional service practiced as sukham kartma abhyayam. But you are saying just opposite. You have to take austerity, penance, and then easygoing life is not going to make us advance in spiritual life. How to understand both the context?
Yes. So question is, of course, everyone would have heard now. Everyone can hear. So Krishna is telling Susukham Kartum Avyayam, but at the same time, it is told that Krishna wants to see how painstaking we are. So how it is so sukham? So yes, it is so sukham means initially we have to take some austerities, but very soon we start experiencing. The more our senses are purified, it becomes pleasant to perform. But other processes, they are always painful till the time of death, you die. So here in devotional service, initially it will be troublesome, but very soon it becomes pleasant. If it is sukham from the very beginning, whole world will take it, no? But no, beginning is not sukha. When we execute it for some time, what happens? Initially, mind and body rebels. But still, if we persist with that, when there is anartha nivritti, there is strong conviction. And once we are convinced, then this conviction transforms into ruchi, into taste. Then it becomes very nice. Prabhupada is what we are discussing. We are discussing same thing. We are servant of Krishna, surrender to Krishna, serve Krishna. But we are having some ruchi. That is why we want to hear. Yes, I want to hear this. I am servant of Krishna. I want to serve Krishna. Otherwise, same things we are discussing. So this is called ruchi. So this ruchi increases the more we are finishing our material attachments in this world, material entanglements. So that is why susukha means after some time, after this initial stages, we come to the platform of attachment, and then it is very nicely, spontaneously executed. Any other question? We'll come back. First.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just like you said that when we preach, it's difficult, Srila Prabhupada said. Not everybody will appreciate this thing. So hardly, because our expectation is like when we see the world around, when we distribute books or we try to make other person understand, our expectation is already that anybody can become devotee. Yes. In one sense, no? But also the another aspect is it's very difficult to make him a devotee like that. So how do we control our expectation in terms of how much to give to what person, to which person, this thing? So expectation regulation, how do we do that?
So that is why Prabhupada explains Krishna sees that how much hard you are working. Because people are generally not interested, we should not get disappointed. Our expectation should be, if I am working hard for Krishna, that should be my satisfaction. If I am working hard for Krishna, I have done my level best. Even after that, somebody is not becoming devotee, then what we can do? So that is okay. And in this way, when we persist, then we'll be able to make devotees also. But that is, Prabhupada's result is not easy in Krishna consciousness. You have to wait for the stage. When we are completely purified, then wherever we go, results will be there. In the initial stages, we should be satisfied by working hard only, by self-purification.
So with the intention of working hard for Krishna, we will surely get the right understanding of discerning between whom to spend what amount of time.
This another question, whom to spend what amount of time? I was answering the question that even though when we are preaching, we may not see any devotees. So we should not get disturbed. It is my desire to make them devotee. I should understand my limitation and their limitation also. But by executing this devotional service, trying to convince others, we advance very nicely. And when we become pure, advanced enough, simply by our desire, other person will become devotee. But that may take time. Now, another question is how much time to spend with a person. That comes with experience. Krishna guides from the heart. Krishna guides. Yes.
You mentioned that Prabhupada ji said that we should be preaching this Krishna consciousness.
Sorry, devotees hearing from folk residencies can carry on. I'll take a couple of questions more.
Prabhupada ji mentioned that we should be preaching to the entire world Krishna consciousness. We should be, but we know that in Kali Yuga, over the time, people will become less pious. So if they are becoming less pious, then how do we preach? Because slowly, even they will not be willing to come to temples and to follow the path. So both are.
So that is why it does not matter. They may come or not come. We will try to bring them to a temple.
So even though we try, it might happen that they do not.
It might happen they will not come. So it does not matter. So we have to try. And now they will come. This golden time. That is after 10,000 years. They will not listen. Then we have to run to jungles and practice. It is told. Then they will chase us. Just like it is happening in Bangladesh now, unfortunate. They are chasing the devotees. Devotees cannot wear tilak, cannot wear saffron, and it is unfortunate. So this thing is going to increase in future. And wherever they see devotee, they will try to give troubles. But now this 10,000 years, there will be golden. There is golden period. It is going to increase. But even though it may not be golden anytime, we keep on trying as much as possible.
Hare Krishna Patandas. Prabhu, what is the meaning of rigid devotional service? Like, should we work hard day and night for serving Krishna? But means we are not that advanced, so we may disturb our health, and also how to keep that balance while doing rigid devotional
Good
service.
question. Yeah, so as far as health allows, we should always keep the best of our health, and keeping the mental and physical health in mind, we should work very hard for Krishna. Rigid means following rules and regulations very, very strictly. That will make our life miserable in the beginning. So that pain, that misery we should take.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In the beginning, you told that learning through experience is good if someone is intelligent.
Yes.
So, when, how to understand when the stage will come, or let's say we are also experiencing something, whether that is a correct experience or not, whether that is correct intelligence or not, then how to understand at instant, or whether
We
we
can
have.
understand from Guru Sadhu Shastra. If I am experiencing that material world is full of happiness, then that is not right intelligence. So our realization should tally with the realization of Guru Sadhu and Shastra. Then we can understand this is right realization. And again, we don't depend upon our experience. We depend upon absolute truth. What is absolute truth? We should understand what is truth. Just like Google Maps, we don't experience, but we follow the authorized thing. If it is a crude example, authorized. So in a similar way, we understand the Shastras are authorized, and thus we try to follow Guru and Shastra. We find a person where I can surrender, and then I surrender. I may experience, I may not experience. I will not experience in the beginning. I experience only illusion, material world. So thus, Krishna consciousness is not about experiences. It is about seeking absolute truth. Online?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. For Gyani, we say it. For Gyani Yogi, we say it takes many lifetimes of research to reach to Krishna, but we understand that we forget everything by next life. How will the person know what he has tried in previous life?
So we may forget, normal people, they may forget some facts. So there are two answers to this question. They may forget what exactly happened, but the realization is there. That is why we discuss Reformation Center. When we suffer in all the species, in all the planets, so the realization is there in the subconscious. That is why many people who are expert in regression therapies, they're able to create, they are able to cure many fears which people have. Just like some people have fear of water because they got drowned in previous life. So by these therapies, they are able to take this fear out. So they cannot explain any reason. Somehow they are so much fearful of water. Not everyone is fearful, but one who got drowned, he is fearful. Similarly, somebody who fell from the heights, they'll be afraid of the heights or something else. Some people have some weird fears. So all these likings, dislikings, fears, and all we carry. Some of the skills also. Some people from birth they are very expert in music, and some people even after learning they are not able to learn simple beats. Why? So we carry all these impressions. So thus this impression, the realization also a person carries. Thus we see some people are anyway not interested in eating meat, even though entire family is meat eater. They have no inclination. Why they are not eating? Why they are not inclined? Previous birth inclination is there. So the super soul as Paramatma notices our desires, and then he guides, as it is told in Bhagavad Gita. Automatically, yogi is attracted towards one who could not finish yoga brashta. He is attracted towards the path of yoga automatically. Similarly, materialist automatically is attracted towards sense gratification. So Krishna guides from the heart. So in this way, the realization is there in the heart, and then Krishna inspires again. If somebody has sought absolute truth, Krishna will inspire. Now you again pursue your journey for absolute truth. And there is another answer. Those who are advanced transcendentalists, they remember their past lives also. And in this way, the living entity, life after life, does research and makes one's life perfect.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, what is the difference between ritual and bhakti?
Good question. So what is bhakti? So bhakti is engagement in loving service of Krishna. That is called real bhakti, as Krishna tells, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. One who offers me with great love. So bhakti means this feeling should be there. Bhakti is not simply engaging your senses, engaging your hands and legs without any mindfulness. With great love it should be done. So ritual means, again, I understand you're talking of rituals for Krishna. Otherwise, so many rituals are there, even if Krishna is not involved at all. So there is no question. But Krishna's worship also can become ritualistic. So when the bhakti is done with full consciousness, that is why Prabhupada tells, executing service of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. That is why Prabhupada would always tell, it is not sufficient to engage in the service of spiritual master. One should engage in service by thinking of Krishna's lotus feet constantly. That is called actually bhakti. So Prabhupada tell devotees anyway have no business but service of Krishna morning to evening. But Prabhupada told in all those activities, you should always be thinking of lotus feet of Krishna at every moment. So thus, thinking of lotus feet of Krishna at every moment and with great attachment, when senses are engaged in service of Krishna, that is called bhakti. Otherwise, it is ritual.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, if chanting of Hare Krishna is all in all, then why is the need to do all this stuff?
Because we are not so advanced to take to chanting directly. Otherwise, advanced devotee, Prabhupada tells, if you chant like Haridas Thakur, you will become mad. 24 hours if you have to concentrate. People are not able to chant 2 rounds. They tell, no, Prabhu, I can concentrate just for 1 round. So to concentrate on holy name, to get absorbed in holy name, it takes many, many lifetimes of practice. It is not easy. So that is why for us, Krishna very kindly takes Archavatar, deity incarnation, engages us in his service. And there are various other engagements created by the spiritual master. So if we are advanced enough, yes, we can simply just think of Krishna, sit down at a place, or hear about Krishna like Parikshit Maharaj, or talk like Shukdev Goswami, but we are not so advanced. Online it is done.
Prabhu, while preaching, suppose one is a material person and one is a devotee. Materialistic person who has some material desires, and one is a devotee, and both are saying the same concept, same thing he is preaching. So is it both will be effective, or someone has, because suppose things has come from the parampara, both are telling the same thing. So is both the same effective, or there will be difference?
Materialist, you are telling he is also trying to preach.
Yes.
Why he'll preach if he is materialist?
Means
not so advanced.
Not so advanced.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, one who is advanced, he'll be effective.
Means personal attributes matters in preaching also.
100%. Yeah. You're talking of material skills? No.
No, one is a devotee.
You're talking of purity, right?
Purity. Purity means he has no desires. He is only serving Krishna. Obviously. And one who is still have some desires and is not so pure.
That is most important factor, Prabhupada tells. Just like the birth of child takes place because of combination of husband and wife. So generally, the pregnancy fails because of impotency of the male counterpart. Prabhupada tells. Generally, it so happens. So that is why Prabhupada tells, when we are surcharged with Krishna consciousness, then when we are surcharged with Krishna vitality, then audience will be impregnated with Krishna consciousness. So generally preaching fails, although both parties are required. The audience should be eligible, and the preacher also should be eligible. But even though audience may not be eligible, if preacher decides, preacher is advanced enough like Prabhupada, he can make unwilling audience also devotee. That is called Kripa Siddhi. So preaching fails generally because of lack of potency of male counterpart. Pregnancy fails because of male. Similarly, preaching fails mainly because of lack of our Krishna consciousness. So thus Prabhupada tells, if you are charged with Krishna vitality, the audience will be impregnated with Krishna consciousness. We'll finish. Granth Ra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki